भिद्यते हृदय ग्रंथिस् ग्रंथिश
विद्यते हृदय ग्रंथेश
चिद्यन्ते सर्व संशया
छिद्यन्ते सर्व
क्षीयन्ते चास्य कर्माणि
क्षीयन्ते चास्य कर्माणि
दृष्ट एवात्मनीश्वरे
दृष्टैवात्मनीश्वरे.
Translation. Thus the knot in the heart is pierced, and all misgivings are cut to pieces. The chain of fruitive actions is terminated when one sees the self as master. Shall I continue with the purport, Prabhuji?
Yes, Mataji, sure.
Attaining scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead means seeing one's own self simultaneously. As far as the identity of the living being as spirit self is concerned, there are a number of speculation and misgivings. The materialist does not believe in the existence of the spirit self, and empiric philosophers believe in the impersonal feature of the whole spirit without individuality of the living beings. But the transcendentalists affirm that the soul and the super soul are two different identities, qualitatively one but quantitatively different. There are many other theories, but all these different speculations are at once cleared off as soon as Shri Krishna is realized in truth by the process of Bhakti Yoga. Shri Krishna is like the sun, and the materialistic speculation about the absolute truth are like the darkest midnight. As soon as the Krishna sun is arisen within one's heart, the darkness of materialistic speculation about the absolute truth and the living beings is at once cleared off. In the presence of the sun, the darkness cannot stand, and the relative truths that were hidden within the dense darkness of ignorance become clearly manifested by the mercy of Krishna, who is residing in everyone's heart as the super soul. Prabhuji, that shlok sometimes you say na, jaha re Krishna taha nahi maya ra adhikar. I think that
Yes,
is that
Mataji,
relevant
perfect.
with this.
That's what I was going to ask. Krishna Surya Sama Maya Haya Andhakar Yahan Krishna Taha Nahi Maya Radhikar.
Radhika. Hare Krishna.
So you want to continue reading?
I can try, Prabhuji. In the Bhagavad-Gita 10.11, the Lord says, in order to show special favor to his pure devotees, the personally eradicates the dense darkness of all misgivings by switching on the light of pure knowledge within the heart of a devotee. Therefore, because of the personality of Godhead taking charge of illuminating the heart of his devotee, certainly a devotee engaged in his service is transcendental love, cannot remain in darkness. He comes to know everything of the absolute and the relative truths. The devotee cannot remain in darkness, and because the devotee is enlightened by the personality of Godhead, his knowledge is certainly perfect. This is not the case for those who speculate on the absolute truth by dint of their own limited power of approach. Perfect knowledge is called parampara, or deductive knowledge coming down from the authority to the submissive oral receiver who is a bona fide by service and surrender. One cannot challenge the authority of the Supreme and know him also at the same time. He reserves the right of not being exposed to such a challenging spirit of an insignificant spark of the whole. A spark subjected to the control of illusory energy, The devotees are submissive, and therefore the transcendental knowledge descends from the personality of Godhead to Brahma, and from Brahma to his sons and disciples in succession. This process is helped by the super soul within such devotees. This is the perfect way of learning transcendental knowledge. Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, I have a question in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4th. We were reading that Shri Krishna gave this knowledge to Vivasvan, and from Vivasvan it came to Manu. But here it's saying Brahmaji, and then from Brahmaji to his sons. Prabhuji, can you explain or help me understand? Hare Krishna.
Okay, good question. Can anybody answer that question? Is there anyone who did not hear the question? So everybody heard and understood the question, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, so who will answer?
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, is this talking about Vedas versus Bhagavad Gita?
So Mataji, can you repeat your question?
So my question here is, Prabhuji, in this it said that, this knowledge has been given to Brahmaji, like Krishna gave it to Brahmaji, and from Brahmaji in a disciplic succession it came to his sons. But in 4th chapter it said in the beginning that, this knowledge has been given to Vivasvan by Krishna, and from Vivasvan to Manu, and from Manu to Ikshvaku. So here I can see Vivasvan's name, so I just got a little confused. So, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Is it that that knowledge that here we are talking about is the knowledge of the Vedas and all the transcendental knowledge, whereas there the knowledge is being talked about is of the Bhagavad Gita? I'm not sure, Prabhuji. I'm just saying from my understanding.
So yes, so basically all the knowledge of the Vedas and the Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, all this knowledge, actually Krishna has not given just once. Krishna gives from time to time. So that's the beginning of creation. Krishna gave the knowledge to Lord Brahma so that he can manifest everything, right? But then Lord also gives this knowledge to 3 other people other than Lord Brahma. So based upon that, there are different sampradayas. So Lord Brahma, Brahma Sampradaya, then Lakshmi ji, that is Shri Sampradaya, then Shivji, Rudra Sampradaya, and then 4 sons of Lord Brahma are also given this knowledge. That is Kumar Sampradaya. So Krishna gives them knowledge. Then Krishna gives to Surya Dev. Then Krishna gives to Arjun. So from time to time, Krishna gives this knowledge to many people. Does it answer your question, Mataji? Haribol?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah, Prabhuji. Yes, it is. Hare Krishna.
Hare. Okay. So anybody would like to share some points from this, what we have read so far? Okay, we'll read from the beginning, the translation of this shloka. So Mataji, can you scroll up to the translation? Thus the knot in the heart is pierced, and all misgivings are cut to pieces. The chain of fruitive actions is terminated when one sees the self as master. So when I first read this shloka sometime back, I was thinking about this. Why is mentioned one sees the self as master? Because we generally say one has to not see oneself as master, not lord it over material nature, not see one as enjoyer, right? So why does it say one sees the self as master? Can anybody answer that question? What is your understanding?
Prabhuji, can I try to answer?
Yes, Mataji, absolutely.
So if we see ourselves on the level of body, then that's, that's false ego, and then we try to lord it over the material world, think of ourselves as master. In that case, we do all fruitive actions and basically wrong things that entangle us. But the real, when somebody is self-realized, they have the understanding of the real self, which is basically a servant of the Supreme Lord, then his actions will be in line with Krishna's desires, or Krishna, in Krishna consciousness. So then then his actions will actually be truly, um, uh, they will terminate the chain of entanglement or the fruitive actions. Then he's actually a true master, because um, he's acting in line with Krishna consciousness. So, but that is only possible for a self-realized soul who's not acting on the level of bodily conception, but acting as with knowing that self is the servant of Supreme Lord.
Yes, Mataji, thank you very much. Anybody else would like to share any thoughts on this?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Can we just say it in simple language that one who can master his senses so that they don't go astray, and who has mastery of the mind, who can control the mind to go in the direction of the God, so
Yes,
that they don't go astray.
yes, yes, very much true. Thank you. So yes, one sees self as master means seeing oneself as the superior energy of Krishna, not the inferior energy, not this body, but actually the spirit soul. And seeing the connection, sees himself as master means with Krishna, part of Krishna, who is actually master. So in the purport, anybody would like to share anything from the first paragraph of the purport? So first line is mentioned: attaining scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead means seeing one's own self simultaneously. As far as the identity of living being as spirit self is concerned, there are a number of speculations and misgivings. So people in general don't know who we are. What is our real identity? Some people are thinking we are this body. Some people are thinking maybe we are the mind. Some people are thinking maybe we are the intelligence. So there's no clear concept and idea to people who we are. And materialistic people and some philosophers, they don't really have good idea and a system to understand the soul. So they don't believe in the existence of the soul. And then some of them may have some impersonal idea, impersonalistic conception, uh, where they may have some inclination to believe in the impersonal feature of the whole spirit without individuality of the living beings. So this means Mayavadi, those who do not know about the individual living entity, what they think is that we can merge together and become the supreme and lose our individuality. But Krishna says in the Bhagavad-Gita that individuality is eternal, it is not lost. Can anybody tell which shloka Krishna is saying that? That individuality is eternal. eternality of the individuality of the living entity. Which shloka? Okay, I'll give you a hint. It is in the second chapter.
Nato evam natu nasham Prabhuji.
Yes, correct. Can you recite?
Nato evam jatu nasham natam neme janadipa na chaiva na bhavishyama sarve vayam mataparam.
Yes, perfect. So Krishna is saying there was never a time when I, you, and these kings did not exist, nor in the future shall any of us cease to exist. That means we as individual living entities, spirit, soul, were always there and will always remain. So it is eternal, the individuality. He never says that we will merge into the supreme or be emerged from the supreme at one time. There was one time, since then we are all. It doesn't say that. It says eternal, always like that. So some people don't have this understanding, so they don't believe in the true uh, constitutional position of the spirit soul. They don't have that understanding. But the transcendentalists affirm that the soul and the super soul are two different identities, qualitatively one but quantitatively different. There are many theories, but all these different speculations are at once cleared off as soon as Sri Krishna is realized in truth by the process of Bhakti Yoga. So, if we are actually taking to Krishna consciousness and advance, then all these things become very clear. And then Krishna is going to illuminate our heart, and all the materialistic speculations and wrong ideas, they'll go away. Krishna Surya Sama Maya Hoya Andhakar. Yahan Krishna taha nahi Maya Adhikar. Where Krishna is, darkness cannot be there. Sorry, where sun is, darkness cannot be there. Similarly, where Krishna is, ignorance cannot be there, misgivings cannot be there. So we have to prepare our heart in such a way that Krishna can come and reside in it. In the second paragraph, anybody would like to share anything from what we discussed so far? Okay. So then Bhagavad-Gita 10.11 shloka. This is also important shloka. It's the last shloka of the Chatur Shloki Bhagavad-Gita. Chatur Shloki Bhagavad-Gita is 8, 9, 10 and 11. So if you know these 4 shlokas, so that means you know Chatur Shloki, the whole Bhagavad Gita in 4 shlokas. That is what it means. So Tesham eva anukampartham aham agyana jantama nashyami atma bhavasto jnana deepena bhasvata. Krishna is saying here, I am dwelling in the hearts of living entities and showing special mercy, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. So Krishna will destroy the darkness. So this is what he does for his devotees, the Lord is saying. So Prabhupada is quoting that here and saying he personally eradicates the dense darkness of all misgivings by switching on the light of pure knowledge within the heart of the devotee. So the light of pure knowledge, Krishna can just turn it on. So then we'll get all the knowledge, everything crystal clear. Therefore, because the personality of Godhead is taking charge of illuminating the heart of his devotee, certainly a devotee engaged in his transcendental service cannot remain in darkness. So Krishna himself is taking care of the devotee, so he will not remain in darkness. He will know everything about the absolute, right? And this is not the case for those who speculate. So therefore, we have a tendency of thinking and assuming and coming to conclusions based upon assumptions, that gives limited knowledge. But actually, when we approach the right personality and ask them questions to gain perfect knowledge, that is the parampara system or deductive knowledge coming down from one generation to another, disciplic succession. So we have to be submissive and use the process, oral reception. Instead of challenging, we have to submit and hear and understand and ask questions. So if we approach in the right spirit and are submissive, Krishna will reveal it to us and we'll gain the knowledge. And like this, Krishna gave this knowledge to Lord Brahma, who gave to his sons, Narad Muni and others. And it was going on in disciplic succession. So this is how Krishna also learns. He also accepted Guru, Sandipani Muni. Lord Ram also had with Shishta Muni. So that is what he recommends and shows by his personal example. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also had a Guru. Who was the Guru of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Who will tell?
Yes.
Huh?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah, voice breaking.
Sorry,
Prabhuji,
Prabhuji.
Ishwar Puri.
Yes, Ishwar Puri. And who was his sannyas Guru? Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's sannyas Guru?
I'm forgetting the name, Prabhuji, but I know that it was from different sampradaya.
Keshav Bharti Maharaj.
Yes.
Keshav, yeah.
Okay, and who was Srila Prabhupada's Guru?
Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur.
Okay, very nice. And who is Srila Prabhupada's sannyas Guru?
Same.
Okay, anybody else?
Sannyas Guru, don't know. I don't know, Prabhuji.
Okay, let's see if anybody else can answer.
It was not the same, Prabhuji, because he took sannyas later on after disappearance of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj.
So,
No voters.
who will answer? Anybody knows? Give it a try. Say something. So it was Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj. That was Srila Prabhupada's sannyas Guru. All right. So everybody is accepting gurus because that is the recommendation of Krishna. All right. Mataji, did we read the last paragraph here?
No, Prabhuji.
No. Okay. You want to read?
Yes, Prabhuji, I can read. This enlightenment perfectly enables the devotee to distinguish spirit from matter because the knot of spirit and matter is untied by the Lord. This knot is called ahankara and it is falsely obliged a living being to become identified with matter. As soon as this knot is loosened, therefore all the clouds of doubt are at once cleared off. One sees his master and fully engages himself in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, making a full termination of the chain of fruitive actions. In material existence, a living being creates his own chain of fruitive work and enjoys the good and bad effects of those actions life after life. But as soon as he engages himself in the loving service of the Lord, he at once becomes free from the chain of karma. His actions no longer create any reaction. Haribol.
Okay, so that was kind of very clear here. The point is, ahankar, or the false ego, is the one which is binding us. The false identification with matter, thinking ourselves this, appears very simple and easy, but actually it is very, very strongly binding us. And that is the reason why we are not able to immediately take to the transcendental platform, because of the very many lifetimes we've been under this conception. So suddenly we don't, even while sleeping, dreaming, we are always identifying ourselves in the material way, because it has been going on for many lifetimes. So there's a whole process of being able to come out of it. And that is Krishna consciousness, which we are all trying to follow. False ego is the first thing which binds us and is the last to go away when we are in the process. Even when other ahankaras go away, false ego may still, sorry, even if the other anarthas go away, the false ego actually still is very difficult to go. So this shloka is telling how, if we want to progress, then we have to follow this process. Thus, the knot in the heart is pierced and all misgivings are cut to pieces. The chain of fruitive actions is terminated when one sees the self as master. So it's the whole process, continuation of what we discussed earlier in the previous shlokas. That same thing. All right. Anybody else would like to make any points here? Questions, comments, points? Otherwise, it's more than 9. We can conclude. All right, if there's nothing much, then we'll end it. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vansha kalpatarubhya kripa sindhubhya evacha pattanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.